Again, welcome everybody. I am really glad that you came out today for this Financial Services Careers Spotlight. What we have today are three different sectors that are big contributors to the overall financial services industry. And so we're really excited of who we have brought today and what they're going to help you learn about possibility of some careers out there. And how this will run is that we're going to be starting, each presenter is going to have their time with that, and then at the end of their presentation, if you guys have any questions, that's where you can ask them then if you want to know more. And so I would like to introduce, we have Brian Harvey, who was with American Family Insurance, that's going way back, who is with Edward Jones. Edward Jones is a financial services firm that is dedicated to helping people achieve their long-term financial goals through personalized investment strategies and financial advice. And then we have First American Title Company, and they provide comprehensive title and escrow services, ensuring secure and efficient real estate transactions for buyers, sellers, and lenders. Did I get that right? All right, good. And then we have First Tech Credit Union. We have Min, and Kelly and Selena are here from First American Title, and then Min is with First Tech Credit Union. And they are a member-focused financial institution that leverages technology to deliver innovative banking solutions and personalized financial services. Did you get all that? So what we will start off with, again, like I said, is Brian with Edward Jones. And Brian, thank you for being here. Can you tell us what is the role of Edward Jones in the financial services industry?
Thank you, Karen, and everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here and to kind of explore what's going on around here. Edward Jones is, you can kind of look at us in the old school name as like stockbrokers, if you've heard that term before, but we've certainly evolved a lot from that. What we help people do is to achieve goals. You know, there's a lot of goals that people have: saving for education, saving for a down payment on a house, saving for retirement, covering long-term care expenses when you're later on in life. So these are a lot of things that people think about, have concerns about. We've heard that the number one fear that people have is running out of money in retirement. And one of my goals is to help people to not let that be such a big fear, to help them address that goal. Edward Jones does business in the United States and in Canada. We have 20,000 financial advisors like myself between the US and Canada. And our model is to run offices, local offices in the community versus being, you know, downtown on the 15th floor of the PacTrust building or whatever like that. So we have a financial advisor in an office, and we have what's called a branch office administrator. So that person is the person that actually runs the branch, does a lot of the paperwork and helps me setting appointments and that kind of thing. So Edward Jones, financial services company. Have you heard of like a 401k account that comes with working at a job? That's something you guys are familiar with? Okay, good. So that's similar to what I do for clients, is they have what's called an IRA account, individual retirement account. And I just help them with those investments. The goal is for those investments to grow beyond inflation. So inflation is simply goods and services costing more. You may be familiar with gas. When you go fill up your car, it costs more. Getting new tires, getting a battery for your car, certainly going grocery shopping, maybe going to get fast food. All of that stuff's going up in price. And so we want to make sure that we invest people's money so that it at least grows faster than inflation, so you don't actually fall behind. So kind of that's one of the goals. But I want to emphasize that we just help people attain goals that are important to them through investing their money. And then there's also the protection side of it. You know, there's chances that You may have a family, you may have a mortgage, and then something unexpected happens to you or somebody you love, and they die unexpectedly. Well, the other job that we have is to help that family, and that's done through life insurance. So life insurance is something that just pays your beneficiary a lump sum money, amount of money that would really replace the income that you're making and bringing to the family, so that the family can pay the utilities, buy groceries, have heat in the house, stay in the house, keep their car, that kind of thing. So that's all part of the financial services industry is helping people with that. There's a much greater chance somebody early in life of becoming disabled than actually dying unexpectedly. So we also offer disability insurance, which just means if you're not able to go to work for a period of time, again, those groceries still need to be purchased, those utilities need to be paid, keep the house warm, the house payment needs to be paid. So we provide insurance that will pay you a benefit until you can return back to work. Again, helping your overall finances stay intact. And so that's what financial advisors with Edward Jones do across the US and Canada, is just help identify those things that are important to you. And we help you build strategies and plans around that.
So is there a difference between brokerage services and investment advisory services? So like, do some companies, all they do is advising, they don't actually buy and sell stocks and trades? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and a brokerage is just like opening up a savings account at a bank for the most part. So you can deposit money with me and I can put it into a money market account, which is like a savings account, or I can buy you some investments within that. So it's kind of a transactional account. So if somebody sells their house and they need to park money for a while until they buy another house, you know, that's something that I can do in addition to the banks and credit unions doing that same kind of thing. You know, people as they age, you know, they get inheritance from family members, you know, and they don't know what to do with that money right away. And so we can put that money, put it in a brokerage account. I mean, I can buy and sell stocks and bonds and do all of that. Those of you who don't know, stocks are just a way to participate in the value of a company. So for instance, companies around here, Intel and Nike, and other smaller companies. They're all publicly traded, which means that you can own a little piece of that company if you really they're going to do well, and then the value of that piece of that company through an individual stock will grow over time. If you're comfortable doing that, you know, I can help you with that. There's a lot of people that are interested in stocks, bonds, call options, and you know, all these people that get rich on YouTube and TikTok, they need to put the money somewhere, you know, so I can help you safely invest some of that as well. And hopefully hang on to it and not lose it. Financial advising is where we set up a diversified portfolio for clients that matches your risk tolerance and time horizon. So the younger you are, the more risk you can take. Why? Because you've got time on your side to go through those ups and downs of the market and still come out ahead. Somebody that's a couple of years away from retiring can't go through and have a 20 or 25% drop in the value of all of their investments. So we're going to invest that differently from the young person. So that's what financial advice is. We have a 6-question risk tolerance that we ask folks. How comfortable are you if the market went down 25% in a year? Would you stick with your investments, or would you sell out, or would you add more because it's a great buying opportunity? So we understand how much risk somebody's comfortable taking. We combine that with their age to come up with a recommended allocation between stocks and bonds. Bonds being a fixed income, more conservative investment, stocks being a more aggressive investment, depending on which ones you choose. And then I meet with those clients once a year at a minimum to go through and confirm that they still feel that way about their investments, that we still have the right risk tolerance, that maybe we need to change out some investments in there. Maybe something's not performing as well. Intel, for example, you know, they They've had their issues out there and their stock price has gone down and they laid off people. Maybe for those folks that own Intel in their portfolio, it's time to sell that and buy something else. Nike has gone through some changes, losing their CEO and their strategy and whatnot. So the stock price of Nike has gone down. Maybe we change out Nike and buy a company called NVIDIA. You guys heard of NVIDIA? Yeah. I mean, that's all the rage now. That's made people millionaires with that stock, and it started out as a gaming chip or something that goes into computers, and now they're into artificial intelligence. So I like that kind of thing, and I think a person that gets into this career should have some kind of an interest in helping people want to grow their money, invest their money, and do that kind of thing. But, brokerage is like, we can just buy and sell stocks for you if you want, or put it in a money market or park money there. Investment advice is we're going to have your goal of saving for a down payment on a house or paying for college education or funding your retirement. And we're going to track your progress towards that goal year after year. And that's the financial advice part of it.
I have a question for you. How old do you have to be to come to Edward Jones and start an account?
Oh, I mean, you be 21 years old and get an account at Edward Jones. I mean, I think you probably even 18, we do custodial accounts where, parents will open up an account for their kids, and then at 21, that account becomes their account. So we do that kind of investing. I just had this question the other day, putting down as a beneficiary, which means that if somebody passes away, this account will go to that person. They had a 12-year-old and they thought, do I need a 12-year-old as a beneficiary? And no, it's too young to do that. So we would have to have some kind of a trust set up or whatever. But I think as long as you're 18, legally sign a document, you can open up an account with Edward Jones or your bank or anything like that.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your career journey, and what led you to working at Edward Jones? And like you might have heard, when I first introduced Brian as American Family, I've known Brian for a very long time. And so that's where he had started. So tell us a little bit more about your path.
Yeah. So I'm a native Oregonian, born and raised down in Salem, went to school down at the University of Oregon in Eugene. That's where I met my current wife down there, my only wife, my wife down there. Met my wife down there. She graduated with a degree in education. We moved up here to Eugene. I started my career down in Medford, and it was a time when the economy was tough. This was back in the early 80s. And so they put me in started with the bank, and it was a management training program, and it lasted for 9 months. And I was going to come out and work in a bank, either behind the counter, supervising tellers, or be on the loan side, making consumer loans, car loans, and that kind of thing. At that time, interest rates were way into the teens and things were tough. And so they just basically said, at the end of this 9 months, we don't really have a job for you. You can do whatever you want. I said, well, I moved to Portland, didn't work up there. And they said, sure. So I moved to Portland and ended up continuing my career in banking up here. I did that for probably about 10 years. And then I was convinced by one of my clients to open up an American Family Insurance agency, which does home and auto insurance. And they were new at that time. This was back in '98. And so then I left banking and started my agency with American Family Insurance. Ran that for 16, 17 years up in the Cedar Mill area, and then was approached by one of the guys in the same building about Edward Jones. But I've lived in Hillsboro for probably 35 years. My wife and I, we have 2 kids. Our daughter is an elementary school teacher in Hillsboro, just like her mother was, who's retired. And then we have a son, both graduates of Century High School.
Go Jags!
Yeah. And Marcus runs a business in downtown Portland, and so he's very happy doing that. And then so I transitioned over to Edward Jones. It was late in the career, but I decided this was a great opportunity because I had all these relationships with these clients of mine at the insurance agency who I could really only sell them a home and auto insurance and life insurance. But I could do much more for these clients as an Edward Jones advisor, helping them with their investments and their goals and all of that. So I transitioned over to Edward Jones, later in my career. And one of the methods that Edward Jones does to generate new clients is to go out and do door knocking in the community. So that's one of the things they trained me to do at 56 years old, was to go out in the community and start door knocking. I mean, I had my clients from my insurance agency, and I knew a lot of people being in Hillsborough, being a part of the chamber, being in Rotary, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of had what we call a natural market that I could market to. But, you know, I felt like Edward Jones wanted me to go out door knock. So Saturday morning, you know, I'd get away from my college football and get in my car and go drive in some neighborhood and get my little milk, and it's just, okay, here we go. You know, and it's just like, I never thought I'd be doing door-to-door sales at 56 years old, but you know, it's like, okay, I did it. And I met nice people. Nobody, you know, put the shotgun out there and said, get off my property or stick the dog on me or anything like that. So, I mean, it was interesting, fun. I got a few clients from that, but by far the majority of my clients came from those people that I know from relationships that I already have. And that's really the key, is people want to do business with people they know and trust. And so if you can just, if you're interested in this kind of thing, you need to be, you know, a people person. You need to kind of understand, you know, people and what makes them tick and that kind of thing. I've learned a lot, you know, about sales, and sales is really not being pushy. Sales is just asking questions and just trying to uncover somebody's pain point, I guess, you know, and help them out. You know, like I say, help people with retirement or saving for down payment on a house or something like that. Visiting with people and asking them, you know, what's important to them, what are they trying to accomplish? Like this number one fear of running out of money. You know, people as they get older and they haven't saved enough for retirement. It's, oh my God, I'm just going to work for the rest of my life. I just am never going to be able to retire. Well, maybe we can work out something. Maybe we can get you there. Maybe we can do that kind of thing. So just talking with people is what this career is about. You know, they said when we started, we had to make 25 positive contacts a day if we were going to build this business. So it's whether you're door knocking, you're at Rotary, you're at chamber, you're at lunch and talk to somebody. I mean, you just have to make contacts with people is kind of the key to this business. You know, and asking open-ended questions is kind of the key too. Like if you wanted to use, you know, the car, you know, some night here, and you just say, hey, can I use the car tonight? No. You know, or you could ask it, hey, what's the chance that I could use the car tonight? Well, is your homework done? You know, or whatever, you know, so you get better results by being able to just ask better questions. And that's all sales is really about. It's just asking better questions. And if that's something that you like to do and you're interested in, then financial services would be one of those. There's plenty of things careers that involve that kind of thing. But you would have to be somebody that likes to get out of the community. If you want to be in a cubicle with your computer and writing code or whatever, you know, that may not, financial services or we may not be.
So what type of entry level and advanced roles are available within Edward Jones? And then what education, training, and certifications do you need to work in your industry?
Sure. Well, you have to be licensed in my industry, and you have to be able to pass a background check and have good credit and those kinds of things. So I would encourage you to make sure that you keep your credit in good shape. You'll get offered as young person's credit cards all the time, and just be wary of that. It's important to establish credit. You know, I've talked to people about this over the years, and just it used to be you'd open up a JCPenney charge card and pay it off, you know, and that was how you started credit. But now I think JCPenney is still around. I don't know if they have a charge card or whatever, but you know, even just something to establish credit and get started with, and then make sure you keep that. It used to be you would have to have a four-year college degree to be with Edward Jones. I don't think that's the way it is anymore, but you're going to have some skills and training and acumen in finance, you know, math, that kind of thing. I had to, one, you know, get hired with Edward Jones, and then I had to study for 2 licensing exams, and then I had to go and pass those. And if I didn't pass those, then I wouldn't have a career with Edward Jones. So there's a little bit of stress in doing this and passing the securities exam and then the state law exam. And then once you do that, most of the companies will provide kind of training with them for you. So, you know, they don't expect you to come in and know everything. So once you get hired, you'll be able to get trained at that company. And there's just a lot to learn after you get trained. So even if you think, oh, I've got my high school degree or I've got a college degree, when you go to work for a company, you're still going to be in training. So don't think, oh, I don't have to learn anymore. No, you're still going to have to learn. There's a lot of things. But training, have a license for life insurance and disability insurance. I have to do continuing education, 24 hours of credit every 2 years. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of ethics involved in this industry, as all of our industries, I'm sure, are. We have to, do a lot of promise that, we're going to act in an ethical manner and in the best interest of our clients and all that kind of thing. Edward Jones has got a great reputation in the community, and they want to make sure that all of their advisors keep that, and so that's very important to them. So, just an aptitude to finance and math and that kind of thing, and an aptitude to studying and wanting to improve and knowing that you're going to have good credit, good background, good securities license, and keep that continuing education, and you're always going to be evolving in this role.
So are there opportunities if you're not interested in wanting to be a financial advisor, but maybe be an assistant or like other opportunities that you can still work within that?
There's all kinds
industry.
of opportunities in the financial services industry. With Edward Jones, we have the branch office administrator that I mentioned. And so you don't have to be licensed or certified or anything like that. You do have to have, past background check, because you're handling money, that kind of thing. But there's that, entry level would be a branch office administrator. You can work your way up if you want to become a financial advisor. That's certainly done. All of our companies have home office people that do a lot. In my industry, there's all kinds of analysts that work for mutual fund companies that analyze stocks and help those and people that run the portfolios to invest money. So there's all kinds of support to do that. If you just like to look at financial reports and report back to somebody else, there's always opportunities to get involved in the financial services industry as an analyst or any kind of support staff as well. There's certainly lots of opportunities for that.
So those are good opportunities if you're not necessarily like, I want to be engaging with people all the time and relationship building, like they just want that more technical and analytical, and then hand off the information to the next people to now work with clients. Yeah. So you touched on like some of the essential skills that are important to like do your job, and networking, which is like what you were talking about, being a chamber member and Rotary and just engaging with people in conversations at lunch, which are great. What are some other essential skills that are important?
Well, you have to be self-motivated. I mean, you just can't come into your office and log into your computer and close the door and kind of just sit there and I mean, you have to be self-motivated. We help clients with their goals. There's a lot of goals that I have as a branch. I mean, I have a budget. I have a business plan that I write every year. I have a monthly tracking to that business plan every year. So the key is you're going to have to be self-motivated. In this industry, just with Edward Jones, you don't have somebody that's just calling you every day to say, what did you do? How many calls did you make? All that kind of stuff. But there are other financial services providers that, you really have to be accountable to your day-to-day activities, because they know that's what it's going to take to be successful. Otherwise, they'll move you on and find somebody else to come and do that. So you really have to be self-motivated and push yourself to work hard. I mean, and that's for any of our businesses, you have to do that.
Well, and that relationship building really is such an important piece, because, I met Brian, I was single and looking for auto insurance. And so I was like, okay, I just looked online and I kind of was like, I think this sounds like an okay person to have be my insurance agent. And then I got married, and now he's taking care of our homeowners insurance and auto. And then when I knew Brian had left the industry, but I didn't know where you had gone. But then when I found that he was at Edward Jones, I'm like, oh, I know Brian and I trust him in that relationship piece. So it's really important, because if you build that early on in that rapport and you feel like this is a trustworthy person and he really does, or she has my best interest, then you stay with that. So that's important.
Yeah. And just having somebody that you trust with your money. I mean, some people are just not interested. Like, I would rather play with my grandkids, or I'd rather go ride my motorcycles or do whatever. I'm just not interested, but I just want to know that somebody is taking care of it. So if you're that kind of person, you can do that for people, and that's great. Not everybody is interested. And Edward Jones and other companies have programs that you can turn over the money, they'll automatically invest it for you. And you don't need to have that understanding of the markets. And so it comes down to trustworthy, you know, somebody trusts you. I've heard that several times, which is a great compliment to me, that it's like, well, you know, I say some options for people and I say, well, you know, what do you think? I trust you, which is the best, you know, kind of thing. So that's nice to get to that point with clients. So it takes time. We gotta develop that.
So, looking at technology, how is cybersecurity? How is AI changing the way that Edward Jones provides financial services?
Yeah, I mean, we're right at the cusp of that right now. You know, making sure that our accounts are secure for clients, you know, two-factor authentication, which means you log in and then you're gonna get a text message and you put that code in. You know, so we protect accounts that way. I think, like most companies, we get hit with thousands, if not millions, of cyber attacks a day that all have to be handled somewhere, and it's all done because we've got all those layers of protection in there. Artificial intelligence is now starting to come into play too, where AI will design a portfolio for clients. I can hit a button and it'll tell me, put them on all these accounts and be done with it. Or I can say, no, I'd rather do it my way and choose it myself. So we're getting kind of to the forefront of artificial intelligence, where it's going to just automatically develop those portfolios for us. One thing that it hits hard are seniors, because there's a lot of scams and stuff going on with the financial services industry. And one thing I've done is I've done seminars at retirement places just to help them be aware of, you know, the romance scam or the grandma scam or the email. I mean, I've been getting emails the last few days from Xfinity that says, you know, I gotta hit this button because my email is gonna go away, or I need to confirm it or whatever. And so I teach the seniors how to look at the email address where this is coming from and see, does it say at Xfinity.com, or does it say, well, say something else? I mean, these were like this gobbledygook at Yahoo.com or at AOL.com or whatever. But I've looked at them and I go, oh, boy, I need to do that. But, oh, what are you doing? Wait, that, you know, and it's like, stop, make sure that didn't do anything to my computer or my phone or whatever. But that's the real risk now, is these scams, these cyber scams. I mean, the private companies will tell you about it. They've got issues, and we try to work with them to make sure that when we're transferring money, that, you know, we've got protocols in place to make sure that these people don't come along and tell you, oh, don't send it to there, send it to here, and all of a sudden $500,000 is gone, you know, to somebody. So we've got to be real diligent with that. But I mean, the seniors, I think, are really what's important. And you can help your parents and make sure that they don't get scammed by these kind of things now, because they're going on constantly, day after day. You'll see it in email and text messages. Is this real? Is this legit or not? So, but yeah, hopefully artificial intelligence will help. But you know, there's bad actors out there, and they're going to take AI and turn it into something bad, and we're trying to do something good with it.
And I think at the end of the day, you can use the AI to help create those portfolios. But, you know, as somebody who is investing my money and wanting to make sure that good decisions are made with my money and help it grow, that you still have to have that personal relationship, that human contact. Like AI, a bot can't replace that human service.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time with people who, you know, parents have passed away and maybe beneficiaries are not set up right, or they need to get money moved from here to there. And a lot of times they just want to talk to somebody and have somebody help them with it, not just to go, you know, thank you for calling, dial 1 here, dial 2 here, you know, be on hold, all that kind of, can you just, you know, here's the paperwork they sent me, what do I do? And then I could turn around and help them complete that paperwork and fill it out. Just being there when, you know, they've lost a loved one, and how this is going to impact their finances, or could impact them, and how we can help out, you know, get money to them in the time of need, that kind of thing too.
So our last question, what is the future outlook for workforce needs in the financial advising sector? And then what advice do you have to leave students to know? Well,
the financial services sector is in need of a lot of financial advisors. The estimate is 20,000 new financial advisors over the next 10 years.
Is that because of ones who are currently working that will be retiring?
Yeah, so there's a wave of people like me that are going to be retiring, and they need to be replaced. Edward Jones is I think the only financial services industry like ours that is actually growing financial advisors. Everybody else is losing more than they can replace. So there's a real need for people, because each financial advisor can only handle so many clients. And, you know, you just can't say, okay, you can have 300 clients, now you can have 1,000 clients, you know, do I want to sit there all day long and, you know, do 5 or 8 appointments day after day after day to keep up with all of this kind of stuff? No. So we need to have more financial advisors in the industry. So that's a big plus. And there's a lot of, like I say, entry-level positions, but you got to high school degree, study, have some kind of work training. I'm just surprised when I hear things like people will get a job and they'll work for 2 days and they just won't show up anymore. And it's like, where are you? What's going on here? You know, I don't like that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, you have to be reliable in this industry, and if we're going to hire you and train you and all of that, you need to come to work. But I haven't had a problem with that. You know, people that I've hired have, of course, showed up for work, but you know, just being responsible and doing what you say you're going to do and all of that will go a long way. Just like I hear, you know, in school these days, you know, just showing up to class or turning in homework, you know, is 90% of the job. You know, if you just don't do that, you're gonna suffer. But if you can just at least be there and show up and do the homework, you're gonna do well. And so it's the same thing in this business. But yeah, we have a huge need, upcoming need for financial services people. And if you've got that kind of mindset to do that kind of thing, it's interested, you want to help people out, you want to, you know, do that, those things that I mentioned, you know, certainly consider financial services. It's a great rewarding career. It's again, feel good about helping people. This is a place to be.
Thank you. Students, do you have any questions for Brian?
I have a question, you don't mind asking, how flexible is your schedule?
Yeah, I mean, that's when I've talked about being self-motivated, is there's a lot of flexibility. I mean, you can come into the office and then you can go out and make calls, or you can go out and play video games or go do something fun.
Especially your job.
So there's flexibility. I mean, it's not like, okay, you need to be here at 8, you take your 10-minute break at 10, and then your afternoon break and lunches, you know, whatever. And there's a lot of flexibility, but you're held accountable to a result. And so if you can get that result done in 6 hours a day, then that's great. If it takes you more than that, then you're gonna have to do that. But this is not the kind of job where you can just like work from home, you know, kind of thing, and just have your laptop and your cell phone and that kind of thing. I mean, we did that during COVID. I went in every day to my office in COVID because nobody was in my office, you know, it was just easy for me to go in, you know, but a lot of people like that work from home and they don't want to give that up. But there's a ton of flexibility, which is why a lot of people get into this business, is because you can get off early to go to your kid's game or go coach your kids, or you need to go to an appointment or whatever. But just keep in mind, you're going to always be accountable for that bottom line result. And if that's not happening, then
Good question. Do you sometimes work weekends? It's like if you're needing to meet with clients and they can't do a weekday, then is there do you make that available on the weekend?
I used to, but I don't anymore. Because, you know, when I was in the banking industry, this was a time when we started getting ATM machines that would come in. And then we didn't have Saturday hours, then we went to Saturday hours. And so we found that when we were open on Saturday mornings, that people came in just to deposit their paycheck or you know, do whatever. But we said we're not going to be open on Saturday. They would somehow find a way to come in Friday afternoon and get that done. So I found that, you know, people will say, well, you're probably not there very late. No, I can stay late. Okay, can you do like a 4 o'clock appointment? Well, yes, 4 o'clock's not late, but you know, some people think, well, I can't get there by 4, so we need to do Saturday. When I started, I did Saturday appointments, I did Saturday door knocking, all that kind of stuff. But now I don't. There's really not a need for it. When I say I'm not available on a Saturday with this time work, they always come up with another time. But starting out, you gotta work with it.
So I have a question for you. So do you have mentorships in Edward Jones, like summer jobs for people who might be interested in seeing? And if somebody does come to work, have you mentored people to become?
The latter I have done. So we've got new financial advisors and I've been hooked up with a newer financial advisor to mentor them to get started with. But in terms of mentoring, having people come in, no, we don't really have that. I mean, we've got a lot of confidential information, that would end up being shared with people that aren't really employed with Edward Jones. They're not going to be around for the long term. So we don't really have that. Maybe at our home office, if somebody's coming in to work back office function or something, they might do that. But we have a good program for mentoring new financial advisors and new branch office administrators too, to make sure that you're successful. But just somebody to come in on over the summer and do something, we don't have that.
All right. Well, if you think of any questions as we go on, there'll be some time at the end where you can ask again. So thank you. Lots of great information. So now let's move on to title companies. How many of you know what a title company does? Have you heard
Neither
it?
did I when I got a job.
Have you heard about
Me
title
either.
companies?
Starting in this job.
No, and so that's why we brought a title company, because they play a really big role in the financial services sector. So with that, Kelly and Selena, I'm so glad you guys are here. So tell us, what is the function of a title company?
Let me give you the easy one. When you buy and sell a house, we are the ones that you come to sign the papers for that. So your parents, if they own their home, they've come to us at one time or another. We're the neutral third party within a transaction. We do deal with a lot of the money, like for Edward Jones, for the lenders, realtors, we work with all of them. But basically, we're the middleman of a house purchase. Is really the easy term of it.
And we do refinances also.
So we insure your property to make sure that there's nothing clouding it from a prior owner. So when you buy a home and there's loans on there or unpaid taxes on there or city liens on there, or we make sure all of that goes away so that when you close on a home, you get it free and clear with just your loan on it. And that's what title insurance does for you guys.
Do
And-
title companies work only in residential, or is that also in commercial?
Oh, no, we do residential, we do commercial, across the board. So,
New construction. Pretty much just about anything that has to do with the home, for sale by owners or a building. We close those.
mhm.
And First American is a national company. We have offices in Mexico, we have offices in Canada, so we pretty much are all over. How many employees do we have, Kelly? In the country, you think, estimate? Yeah, I think about 7,000.
Yeah, we have a lot of employees in India. as well, that do like behind the scenes stuff,
Mhm.
so, I mean, there's a lot. So, I mean, I couldn't even begin to guess. how
Yeah.
many.
We're a very big company. Some of the things about First American that are kind of, so for instance, Kelly, do you want to say what it is that you do and how you got into this business? And then I'll share my story also.
Well,
Because it's
we're
pretty
we're
good.
gonna
Oh,
get there
sorry,
in a
jumping
minute.
ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a little jumping ahead. So, so there's different title companies out there,
Mhm.
multiple. Are there differences between the title companies and what they do, or does everybody pretty much do the same thing across the board?
We all do the same thing. We're all regulated. We all have, our rules to follow. We all, from start to beginning. Yes, that's the same. I think the difference between the companies is the culture that First American brings to the people, the way that management treats their employees, which is very well. That makes it stand out. I've been at a few companies and First American is where I landed and where I will stay until the end of my career. And it's like totally different as far as the management and culture of the company compared to any other title company I've worked with.
And so if I'm buying a house, do I pick the title company, or is the title company
No, our
usually like
clients
the
are-
realtor?
So our clients on a sale transaction or a purchase transaction are realtors. And then on a refinance transaction, it's lenders. So usually the lenders have a great relationship with the title company. who they choose to send all their refinance business to. Or we have relationships with realtors. And usually it's the listing agent, the seller's agent that sends us the business.
But we've gotten transactions in our office that are from family and friends.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, they will just say, I want to close at First American Title. In fact, this last year, probably with our staff, which is a lot, I have maybe brought in 10 deals that are from family and friends.
Mhm.
Relationship building, telling people what you do. Very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Maybe-
wondered that, like, if it's like, I want to use First American, but my realtor wants me to use, a different company.
Yeah, and you
Can
can
I
choose
like,
it. Yeah,
Nice.
definitely. I mean, I think when I first got in this business, everyone always talked about relationships and building your relationships like, "Ah, I don't want people to know my business or, just stand back. It is all about relationships. It's all about who you know. It's all about who you trust in this business because you are dealing with the biggest purchase of your life
Mhm.
and you're dealing with a lot of money. So the people that you know and the people that you trust, super important to have those and know those people. And if that's your realtor, then you know that your realtor trusts us. Or if it's your lender, you know that they trust us. So it's all about relationships.
So Kelly, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into this industry and what your job is as a escrow officer?
So I got in this business 30 years ago. I was a single teen mom. And so I went to a company, it was like a temp to perm company. And I got hired at a company called Oregon Title. Oregon Title is no longer around, but I started in the mailroom and I paid $1,500 after 90 days to be hired on full time. And that was in June, will be 30 years ago.
Wow.
So I've done very well for myself.
She's the office manager.
Currently, I am an escrow officer, office manager at the rental station office, but I probably have been in every department of not First American, but of the title business. And there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of different departments within First American, within a lot of title companies, so especially First American.
So did First American, if you started off in the mailroom or whatever company you were started with, Oregon Title, did they like see potential in you and like,
Absolutely. So
or
that's kind of
did
where
you
I
have to
started.
like kind of look at where you wanted to move up to and then
Well,
did
I
they
would
provide
say the
training?
Turnaround I was in the title department. Title department does the research of your property and then sends it to escrow. Escrow does like the dispersing of the money and all that. The title department when I was started was a very big turnaround. I don't know why. And I think a lot of it is either get it or you don't get it. It's either you like it or you don't like it. And if in this business, if you don't like it, then it's not good to stay in.
So what is that
Or
title
title.
process?
Title process, there's a lot of title process. So when you go to buy a house, you sign a sales agreement. Once you sign that sales agreement, it comes into me as an escrow officer. That then goes to our title department. Our title department runs the background of the whole. It basically gives you the research of the property that you're purchasing. And then they send us what's called the title report. And that shows everything of the history of that home. And then it's our job to make sure, like I'd saying earlier, to make sure all the liens and everything is paid off on that. That would seem like that.
And then, so there's the title department and then you
There's
said
title
escrow.
department, there's customer service, there's the mailroom, there's escrow, there's sales. There's a recon department. There's so many different aspects of what makes our job perform. That, I mean, I don't even know if I can really list them all, because there is so many different, without every department that we have in the company, we all could not do our job. So it's very important to have certain people in place and everything. Customer service is a huge help to us. They do a lot of our research. They do a lot of the, filtering of the phone calls for people that need documents or whatever it may be for that.
And so when it goes through the title process and then it moves to escrow?
And then, yes.
And then what
we
is-
do the title report that comes to us, we clear it, and then buyers and sellers come into us, sign their papers. The lenders send us loan docs and all that, and then it goes back to the lender sends us the money, and then we report it. So reporting it is the very last step of a transaction. It's now it's yours.
And it runs on a pretty tight deadline